What if I told you there was one trait specifically that is more powerful than any fancy degree, certification, or coding skill that actually gets you ahead in AI consulting or leadership? So I've come to this conclusion because I've just finished all of my analysis for my executive leadership AI and ERP coaching program. And 100% of my coaching community got promoted, achieved new business, or reached their incentives for 2024. And I'm just such a proud coach over here. I am so proud of them. And honestly, very little of it has to do with me. It has to do with kind of unlocking their potential. So when I was looking at, hey, what do all of these very different executives have in common? I found that they all have one key trait. And as we're kind of talking about what does our 2025 strategies look like, or maybe New Year's resolutions, I felt like it would be a good time to kind of share that with the community. So it's no secret in our industry that being an ERP, an enterprise tech, an AI consultant is challenging. It certainly is not for the faint of heart, especially when we look at women in the field, which I certainly have a soft spot for coaching because I think that there's so much opportunity to bring that diversity into our field. We're still only seeing about 20% of leaders in enterprise technology represented as women, and that's a gap that I am, passionately committed to closing. It's for someone that really values being on the forefront of technology or involved in innovation in some way, but you are a project manager, you're a babysitter, you're a therapist, you're a coach, you're a teacher, and even sometimes, an unpaid cheerleader, all in one. And you have to keep things in line in a very high stress environment. It's certainly not easy. But the best consultants or the best leaders that I know have one thing in common, and it is not a fancy degree or a bunch of letters after your LinkedIn name. And it's not being able to code or be a brilliant engineer. It's all about grit. Have you been knocked down, stood back up, dusted off, and learned from what knocked you down? Are you humble enough to admit your mistakes? Are you resilient enough to keep going after a no or a failure or a lost contract or some resistance within your team and your implementation? Are you able to learn from that and say, you know what, I'm going to reframe that as an amazing opportunity to learn what I can do better next time? Or are you going to let that sink you in the ocean and stop you from trying? Because tech implementations are not for everyone. It is not, as much as you want it to be, a clear, clean-cut roadmap. It is messy. It is hard on many levels, both functionally and psychologically. And for the top in our field, the top innovators when it comes to technology, process, business development, they are innovators. And you know what innovation is? A whole lot of failure. It's basically failing until you hit gold. And at least in my experience, 9 out of 10 good CEOs are going to want someone that is able to move through and lead through adversity as opposed to a very fancy Harvard degree. So since I'm blessed with such an experienced and talented network, I really want to hear from you. Do you agree with me? Or are there other skills that you've seen be really key to thriving in our industry, especially those of you that we can always gain wisdom from that have been in the industry for 20, 30 years, or even those of you that are trying to break into the consulting industry, because it truly is kind of a who do you know network. So with that, I'd love to hear your perspective, and I invite you to share them in the comments or duet this video. And most importantly, I am wishing you a very fruitful, happy, and joyful 2025.